Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me to attend this event. I would like to offer my warm congratulations for the 25th anniversary of the Asia-Europe meeting and to thank Viet Nam for inviting the United Nations to participate in this event. We truly appreciate this opportunity for reflection. For those of us working on peace and security issues, current global trends are of significant concern. Conflicts have become more complex and multifaceted, with the proliferation of non-state armed groups, as well as the growing involvement of regional and international actors. This has made peacemaking and conflict resolution much harder. The climate emergency is already creating new sources of stress. The last decade was the hottest on record. Ocean levels are at an all-time high, and extreme weather events are more intense and frequent than ever. In certain circumstances, the interactions of climate change with socio-economic and political factors can threaten stability and undermine the resilience of communities. It is no coincidence that 60% of the most fragile countries in the world also rank among the most climate vulnerable. Meanwhile, technological disruption is creating new sources of tension, with conflict increasingly happening in cyberspace. Internet and social media are at times being exploited to spread disinformation, fuel polarization, and sow division. These trends have been evident for some time. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated many of them, adding stress both at the national level and within the multilateral system. In 2020, extreme poverty rose for the first time in 22 years. The contraction of economic activity in fragile and conflict-affected settings is expected to push an additional 18 to 27 million people into poverty. The gender equality gap is widening. These trends have put many countries in a vicious cycle in which conflict breeds poverty, poverty breeds fragility, and fragility decreases resilience to conflict. At the international level, just when generational threats to humanity require collective action, a lack of trust among key actors is undermining our ability to mount global responses. Vaccine nationalism and competition are the latest example of how geopolitical divides can significantly undermine international cooperation. The convergence of these trends will have dire consequences for our work. It is likely to further challenge our ability to manage and resolve conflicts. It may create needs that will outpace our ability to respond. Humanitarian assistance and conflict management tools will be under tremendous stress. The only real sustainable solution is prevention. Prevention will help us flatten the curve of conflict and thus create space for our conflict management tools not to be overwhelmed. In order to respond to this deteriorating environment, the United Nations is working hard to adapt its work. We have developed new tools and updated existing ones to better respond to today's conflict dynamics. At the heart of this approach is the need to engage earlier and proactively. Allow me to share a few examples. First, we are making a significant political investment in peacemaking and conflict resolution across the globe, from Afghanistan and Libya to Yemen. In Afghanistan, for example, our mission UNAMA has worked closely with the negotiating teams of the Republic and the Taliban to identify needed support for the talks. The Secretary General also appointed a personal envoy to work on regional issues to build support from key member states. In Kyrgyzstan, the United Nations has been proactively engaged before and after the tumultuous events of last autumn, which saw a change in government and later a change of constitution. The UN Special Representative for Central Asia has been closely engaged and visited the country in October 2020 and April 2021 ahead of the constitutional referendum. Second, we are placing a central priority in building and enhancing our partnerships with a wide range of actors, in particular regional and sub-regional organizations. This has translated into more effective engagements before, during, and after crisis. The ASEAN United Nations Comprehensive Partnership and the EU-UN partnerships are critically important in this regard. They provide us with a framework for strategic coordination as well as technical cooperation spanning all areas of our work. In Myanmar, we are working closely with ASEAN and the EU, whose efforts have been of great importance. It is essential that international efforts find a way to set the stage for dialogue and the return to democracy, as well as a solution to the plight of displaced persons and refugees. Third, we have focused in helping build national capacities for conflict prevention, on the understanding that prevention is more effective when it is led by national or local actors. The UNDP-DPPA joint program on building national capacities has allowed us to support these initiatives in over 50 countries, including Asia and Europe. In Sri Lanka, our Peace and Development team organizing the first virtual youth leadership camp together with the Ministry of Youth in order to increase the awareness of the role of youth in sustaining peace. In the Pacific, in partnership with the Pacific Islands Forum, we have invested in building national resilience to climate security in Kiribati, the Marshall Islands, and Tuvalu. Lastly, we have put inclusion and the promotion of women's political participation at the center of our efforts. Throughout the world, we see a younger, more diverse, and more interconnected population increasingly demanding to participate in all aspects of decision-making. Inclusion helps remedy structural inequalities, extend compromises beyond elites, and address other root causes of conflict, thus making peace agreements more durable. In Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, for example, we have created advisory boards to ensure women's perspectives better inform our work. In Central Asia, we launched a Women Leaders Caucus to convene prominent women leaders from all 5 Central Asian states and help unleash the full potential of women and empower them in securing regional peace and security and sustainable development. Excellencies, as the Secretary General has noted, the COVID-19 pandemic was a wake-up call pointing to the deep vulnerabilities that exist in all of our countries, as well as to the urgent need for a new vision of international cooperation to respond to these challenges. Now is the time for strong multilateral action to enable us to emerge from the pandemic, to address the climate crisis, and to build stronger, safer, and more resilient communities and societies. We look forward to working together towards this goal. I thank you.